Hey, Terry. Well, I'm here today with Terry Folks, who has been working as a therapist, counselor, writer, many, many things. I'm going to let Terry talk about herself, but today is just an opportunity to hear from Terry and talk about some of the real wonderful services that she has available, and that I'm just really excited to hear from you, Terry. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and what's happening?
Oh, Roz, thank you very much for having me. Um, Most people know that I'm Terry Folks and I'm a spiritually integrated psychotherapist on beautiful Vancouver Island. So I think you wanted to ask me some questions about my practice. So I'm happy to answer whatever it is that you're curious about.
Yeah, and this is part of the just floating onto the screen right now is part of the wonderful art. Generally referred to as Spirit First, spiritually integrated psychotherapist and author. And let's actually ask a couple of questions here to give people a little bit more information about what's happening. So we're gonna go here. So in terms of psychotherapy, this is we could call this many things, but how do you think of psychotherapy, Terry?
Well, I have a number of students that I'm mentoring and a few MA candidates who are interested in becoming therapists themselves. So when I teach what psychotherapy is from a spiritually integrated perspective, I talk about the two Greek words, psyche and therapeia. And psyche means soul or breath of life, and therapeia means servant or attendant. So if you put psyche and therapeia together, you designate the psychotherapist as a servant or attendant of the soul. So that's why I believe that our time together, our conversations, all of it is sacred.
That's fantastic. I'm actually very moved by your approach, and I need to keep my focus on more about what you have to say, as I could go on and on a little bit too, just hearing what you're saying. Let's talk a little bit about spiritually integrated psychotherapy. Why don't you tell us a
Okay.
little bit about that?
Yeah. So it's one thing to think about psychotherapy being a servant or attendant to the soul in general, but spiritually integrated work takes that home. It hones in on the spiritually integrated aspect of psychotherapy. And that is your higher self or your deep self longing or yearning for what's best for you and for your own unique life circumstances. So asking spiritual questions, considering life's meaning, um, drawing on your own spiritual resources in a safe, nurturing environment, that's my specialty. Yeah. So integrated, did you want to learn a little bit more about it, what integrated means in my practice?
Sure. Let's
Yeah,
hear. I
I'm
mean,
happy to share that.
and
Yeah.
you've been,
So,
yeah.
what's that?
No, go on, please.
Okay. So, when I was doing my MA coursework, I discovered that there were no courses in a master's degree in counseling in using spiritual resources. And rather than complain about it, I chose to do my dissertation, my thesis. I created a master's level course in spiritually integrated psychotherapy. That's how important it was to me. Um, so integration can mean a number of things, but I start off with integrating the four domains. And I'll talk a little bit about this later, but just to give an idea of what integrated can mean, integrating the physical, integrating the emotional, the intellectual, and the spiritual brings us to wholeness.
Mm,
And all four, uh, we attempt to balance all four and bring all four aspects of our life and our psyche into the work that we're doing together.
mm,
So, integrated could mean that um, you're actually questioning your religious upbringing. You might be considering the differences between religion and spirituality. You might be interested in um, your own conscious evolution. Integrated means holistic. So I'm working with the whole person. These conversations are about how can we use spirituality to inform your healing and your growth.
mhm,
Is
mhm.
that helpful?
That's really
Yeah.
helpful. And there's so many different gifts that you bring to uh, your 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 therapy, your counseling, your services, and we're going to be talking about these items. We're going to have more than one opportunity to make these live recordings, and so people will really get a great chance to, or a number of chances, I should say, to hear from you. And what I think that you're doing is you're really giving people a lot of different um, tools and other ways of uh, of learning, really, for to help themselves. But I'll let you talk a little bit more about what you've mentioned: feminist, inclusive, holistic, intuitive before. T- Tell us a little bit more about this, Terry.
Well, I think the primary focus is feminist, and it's the F word. Uh, Many of the men I serve are feminists. Many of the women I serve uh, are feminists. So it's not a gender issue. Um, it is a recognition that all of us are hurt by an unjust society,
Mm-hmm.
men, women, and children. Um, but I'm especially concerned with the healing of women and girls
Mm-hmm.
from social injustice, physical, sexual violence, or emotional abuse and trauma. That's a focus for me. But feminism actually means empowerment. So when I so my book, for example, is it's called Another Spring. It's a year of self therapy and spiritual practices. What I'm doing is I'm saying you can heal yourself. You have all the resources within you, and my job is to draw those out, to remind you of what you already know. And the book actually helps do that. And so it's feminist in that regard, because feminism is all about not creating a dependency, but about empowering individuals to access their own inner resources and heal that way. So that's the feminist perspective. Intuitive is I have immersed myself in many global spiritual traditions. And I've honed my intuition. I've taken training. I have life experience. I've traveled. I've immersed myself in my own sadhana, which is my own spiritual practice. Um, and so all of this uh, comes together almost like a funnel, and I see patterns. I'm a synthesizer. I take detail and data and information, and as a result of my training and life experience, I have a fairly strong intuitive gift. And I invite others to strengthen their own intuition. So I'm bringing all six senses to the work. I'm bringing all six. The sixth sense would be the intuitive sense that we don't often include when we're discussing the other five senses. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Does that make
Oh,
sense?
it does make sense, and all of this really is so interesting, and there every single piece of this, I know that you can go into in a lot of detail, and certainly uh, I'm thinking that as you share what you've learned and your services. You speak a little bit more about this in your blogs and on your website, which we can touch on. So, in your web on your Facebook, sorry, in your on your web page, you actually do talk. You give a bit more information, and you teach, and you maybe just talk a little bit about how your website gives people a little bit more information. Is that okay? Should we talk a little bit about your website?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I hope people go there. It's updated, it's professional, I'm always adding resources, I'm adding strategies there that people can access. Doesn't cost a penny to go in and access those resources. There'll be a link on my website at the bottom of each page to follow me on my author page. And there, speaking of integrated, my Facebook author page is my number one place for people to access
Right,
strategies
right.
and posts and information. So they can, there it is, follow me on Facebook. That on the bottom of every page of my website, you can just go in and follow me there. My point with the website and the gifts and my blog, the strategies, there's a meditation page, uh, is I really would like to build a community of people who are genuinely interested in evolving, in awakening consciousness. And this is all about, again, I come back to the word empowerment. This is all about empowering yourself with strategies and gifts and practices that are offered to you for free. And why not do your personal work? So this is where I get quite passionate is if each of us attends to our own conscious evolution, we will then be contributing to global consciousness. We might save the planet. That sounds lofty. It sounds, whoa, really, Terry? Really. I truly believe that if each of us attends to our own personal evolution, we are contributing to the evolution of the planet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what a healthy um, oh, what a healthy constructive way to approach things. I'm hearing, and I have so much more to learn, and I'm sure everybody else listening here, is very interested in learning more. And you've written a number of things. Possibly, we'll chat a little bit about some of your written works. It's another way for people to to learn and get more information, and as you said, to empower themselves. So let's can you maybe just talk a little bit about some of your written words? How does that sound?
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I mentioned one of my books, which was my thesis, my dissertation, Spiritually Integrated Psychotherapy. It's a training manual for um, MA candidates. The other book that I've written, and I've been sending proposals to publishers. Um, any publisher who's interested in empowering their readers to do their own personal work might be interested in this book. It's called Another Spring.
right.
It's a year of self-therapy and spiritual practices, and it's written. My chapter notes are done. My bibliography is finished, and I'm just awaiting for
Oh,
someone to pick it up. Um, I write a blog, a fairly regular set of strategies, again, practices that people can access on my website under my blog page. And I create meditations. I'm also a poet, and this is something not a lot of people know. So I'm working on a book of poetry and summoning up the courage to share some of my poetry with the world as well. So I'm an author, like a writer, um, and I find that that really informs how I'm able to share with the people that I serve. I do want to just check in with you, Roz, because if we have another, I'd love to have another conversation with you.
yes,
I
yeah,
realize that the four um, the four pillars of my work, which are holistic, feminist, intuitive, and inclusive. I've spoken about the feminist and the intuitive, but I haven't really given a lot of detail around what I mean by inclusive or holistic. So when we get together again,
yes,
it would be a pleasure for me to expand a little bit on what it means to be holistic and how that approach can change therapy
yeah,
for you,
yes.
how it considers the whole person. But
Hmm.
we've talked a lot. I feel like I've talked way more than I normally do.
Oh,
Normally I listen, so I feel like I've done a lot of talking. But I appreciate the opportunity to share my passion and my vision with you, Roz.
and
Thank you for this.
it's I'm really I feel honored to take these moments and really look forward to you know learning more and hearing more about all these different things that you're talking about. And and just as a reminder, a lot of these writings that you've done are available through your website, right? And
I would head over to the blog. I would start with the Facebook author page. There is a personal page which you can just bypass because I had to do that to
okay,
create the author
okay.
page. Yeah, so
So
people can just follow me there, and
yeah,
then they can. Then I always link it back to the website. So
that
all
is
the blogs are linked back and forth, and people
okay.
just help themselves.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds all fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Terry, for taking your time and I know you're really busy, especially today. You've got lots of busy stuff happening, and so thank you so much. And we'll look
Oh,
forward
thank
to
you. I love having a chance to talk about my work. Thank you, Roz.
that. Is just that's excellent. Thank you, and we'll talk again soon.